Fighting Irish faithful. Wow. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Woohoo! Everybody's Irish tonight, even Purdue fans. Welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. It's St. Patrick's Day edition. This is the first time we've done this. We're experienced podcasting on St. Patty's Day. For all the Catholic people, it's the fifth Sunday of Advent, or fourth, I don't know. But it's Lent. What am I talking about? Long story short, it's been a long-ass time since we've podcasted, since the bowl game. Can't believe we're actually doing this now, but we talked to our people. The people have spoken, and we're going to do a podcast. So it's actually something I've thought about doing for quite a little while. So here we are. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful Show, powered by Leprechauns Media. We'll bring Jason at Dos Leprechauns. We invite you to speak here to lead us on in. But yeah, we're excited. We haven't done this in a while. Since the bowl game. You know, we just beat the crap out of Oregon State. Podcast, spreadsheets. Well, no scotch. It's typically scotch and spreadsheets, but the scotch has been put aside for the Irish whiskey. And actually, technically, I actually have a pint of Guinness here. So we actually usually don't do beer during the show, but here we are. Let's do a show. Dos Leprechauns, we've invited you to speak. If not, here's a format tonight, men. We're going to just invite everybody to speak because the thought here is that we're going to go with an Irish pub. So we won't go with like loud people screaming and stuff or bagpipes. Although if you have bagpipes are encouraged on the show. But we're going to invite everybody to speak because we want everybody to get the opportunity to speak on the feast of St. Patrick's Day because everybody is Irish. Everybody is joining in here. Those Leprechauns, I see you there. Coach Barsegian, you guys are on mute. What's up, man?
What's up? Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. How's everybody doing?
Jason, nice to talk to you on this holy feast of St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, sir. Yeah, holy feast. I had nothing even remotely close to Irish today, but that's okay. You know, I'm doing a fantasy baseball draft, finishing that up as we speak.
Okay. So funny story. So we're trying to teach our son about Catholicism and this, that, and the other. And so we have an image of St. Patrick and we're like, hey, this is important, right? So we hold up the picture of St. Patrick and you know what he says? Green what? Jesus.
That's pretty funny. I like that.
He knows now it's St. Patrick, so I hold it up. Now he says St. Patrick, but his first thought was Green Jesus, which to me as his dad, I was like, okay, that's funny, and I'm actually okay with that. But
yeah, I'm sure Jesus was pleased as well. That's a good chuckle.
Jesus had a laugh. All right, it's fine.
The big fella. Hey, let me get a cheap plug in here real quick. We got to get more people in the Dos Leprechauns March Madness bracket. We've only got 20. Last year we had 35. I want to get 50. So if you're listening and you haven't joined yet, get in the bracket. Let's get the money built up. It's going to be fun. Alyssa, my daughter, won it last year because she picked the UConn Huskies because she likes Huskies. Yeah, no, she doesn't like UConn. She just likes Huskies and knows nothing about basketball, but she won. So anybody can do it. So get on in. Let us know if you're interested. We'll send you the link.
If only the Bulldogs of Gonzaga could be so lucky. But I don't think it's their year either. So unless something crazy happens. But hey, It's March Madness. Anything can happen, right?
That's right. Yeah, Oral Roberts last year taking down Purdue.
Sorry, Purdue. I actually work with a lot of Purdue people. So I'm actually waiting for the St. Peter's, Loyola, Chicago equivalent school to take them down. So when the bracket is formed, whichever school seems appropriate, yes, I'm going to have Purdue choking by this week 16. It's fine.
No doubt. No doubt. It's taxes, death, and Purdue sucking in the tournament.
Oh, it's just so disappointing. And I do feel bad for some of my coworkers because they are ride or die Purdue people, and respect as it takes one to know one, because we are the Fighting Irish, and we haven't won a major bowl game since 1994. So it is what it is. So But anyway, we as Notre Dame fans have a lot to be excited for going into the 2024 football season. That is kind of going to be the focus of the show is as much as we can. We're going to try to kind of open up to people to, quite frankly, what people want to talk about. It is the spring. We've never done a show, at least on Fighting Irish Faithful, on St. Paddy's Day. So it's a little bit of celebration of the Irish, coupled with kind of a hybrid of end of last season going into the spring. It feels more like, we are in spring practice, right? So anyone who's got a finger on the pulse with Notre Dame football knows that we are having practice right now. We got CJ Carr with Riley Leonard with Angeli. So we got kind of a three-way, whatever going on there at quarterback. Who knows what the running back room is going to be, whatever, but no one is really too concerned about running backs because, just look at the bowl game and, Denbrock's back. So we're going to open up to all sorts of stuff. I got all sorts of stats we can talk about. We will have a stat piece here relative to quarterbacks later. Not quite exactly what I think people quote unquote want, but I think it is, it's going to set the tone for what I think this show is all about. And people know what that is: scotch, spreadsheets, and running the damn football. So, Coach Marcegian, I see you there.
How's everything going?
Yo, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Absolutely. Now, in Alabama, do they celebrate St. Patrick's Day as hardcore as they do up in South Bend?
Not the area that I'm in.
Can you buy Guinness?
Oh yeah, Guinness is available easily.
Okay.
I could run down the road and get some.
Okay. All right. So that's like, 80% there, right? That's the old 80-20 rule, right?
But you've got to go to one of the major hubs like Huntsville or Birmingham to actually find a place that hardcore engages in it with the green beer and whatever else.
Well, sure. Yeah. Like Walmart sells green food coloring, so you can get yourself a Miller High Life or whatever you want with.
If you want to drink the moose piss, then go ahead and get Miller. But
you don't put green beer in Guinness. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that would be a waste of money on the food coloring.
Exactly, you wouldn't see anything.
What good is it going to do?
So, Coach, it sounds like you're enjoying St. Paddy's Day, which is awesome. Where do you want to go with this? Like, should we reflect on the national championship? Should we talk shit about Michigan or whatever?
I'd rather not have that nasty aftertaste of vomit in my mouth again.
I'm just saying. So, all right. So full disclosure. So, all right. Couple things here. Number one, I had another kid, so it's been a while since we've podcasted, right? So,
you've scheduled like 2 of them between now and then.
It's probably 4, but the point is, I've got 2 kids in the house, and so like the addition of what is it, the distributive property, someone who's a math major is going to fuck this up, but the point is, having 2 kids is not just like numerically additive of responsibilities. No, it's like 5 times the amount of effort. So anyone with kids knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, your workload increases.
It's like that's not just double, that's more like quadruple, right? But anyway.
Oh yeah, especially when they're little like that.
Oh my gosh, and what's funny is that the new one is actually pretty chill. It's the toddler that's the a little more work.
Oh,
but
gets into everything.
Well, and he's wonderful,
Yes.
right? Anyone who's seen, former baby Irish faithful, now toddler Irish faithful, knows he's got a little bit of Joe Schmidt in him. That's probably an excerpt for a future podcast, but future Joe Schmidt, he'll be like a walk-on, linebacker type of, defensive back type of guy. He's undersized, but he's got more than a tenth of the heart of Rudiger, so he might make All-American. Toddler Irish Faithful is amazing, but is a handful. Baby Irish Faithful now is actually pretty amazing, and well, they're all babies are amazing, but this one's pretty chill, which is great. But the responsibilities of me as dad has been more than enough. That being said, it makes it a little more challenging to squeeze podcasts in, especially in the off season, which is what we are now. Now, moving forward, here we are at St. Paddy's Day. We're doing the best we can, and we're happy to have all of you fine people on here. That being said, we are really excited to be here. I mean, it's been 79 days since our last show. And we've already started preparations for the fall. Coach Barcigian, you and I have had a few discussions about the game in said fall against the Stanford game. We have been in contact with the ticket office. They will get back to me, I think, in April-May timeframe. So if anyone wants to go to the Stanford game, let me know. We'll get you sorted with tickets and whatnot.
Well, whatever you have left over, you can always just scout.
That's probably 100% true. So we're really excited to be podcasting tonight. Coach, where do you want to take the show? We're gonna kind of open up to everybody. Anyone who wants to speak. Jay, I know you're just listening. That's fine. Just Leprechauns is on mute. Johnny W Boxing. We invite you to speak. It's since it's St. Paddy's Day in the spirit of the Irish pub, we're going to go with an open forum tonight. Anyone who wishes to speak, anyone who wishes to join on, may join on. No problemo. Coach, where do you want to go? You want to go quarterbacks, running game, defense, which I'm really excited about. More to come on that.
Defense should be fine. The receiver core is getting the holes left from Brian Kelly filled in. We should be okay. Running back, I think, is just going to be next man up because of Freeman's phenomenal recruiting. Quarterback worries me.
Okay,
and
continue.
You and I have had not really shots at each other, but just some kind of joking about it here and there. I am deeply worried about this transfer portal QB issue for Notre Dame simply because look at what we've granted. They're freshmen incoming, but look at what we've got that are going to be riding the bench for a year that could possibly transfer out if they don't get any playing time at all. Look at who dominated nearly every time he came in for Hartman. Granted, they were against teams like Pittsburgh and a very depleted Oregon State, but Angeli's look very, very good. And we get another transfer quarterback from another smart school.
Well, and nothing against Riley Leonard, which is where I'm.
And nothing against him. You have a successful career at Duke, you get a statue. You have a successful career at Notre Dame, you become a legend.
Yeah,
a legend is bigger than a statue in my mind.
Yeah, you're not you're 100% right, and the order of magnitude of, I think expectation from Duke up to the University of Notre Dame is completely different. Now, I will say this:
let's be honest, Duke is a basketball school that was only good at football when Steve Spurrier was there.
Well, and they just lost their head coach to Texas A&M, who we will be playing our first game. Coming this September.
Duke is back to being Duke at football, so.
where they rightfully deserve. But my whole thought is this: like, it has nothing to do with the fact that Riley Leonard went to Duke. It has nothing to the effect that he played there. It has everything to do with the fact that, look, man, you're now at Notre Dame, but you just came off an injury. Like for it doesn't matter where you came from. You could have come from Alabama, Georgia, or even, for fuck's sakes, Michigan, who just won the national championship. Ugh, let me go puke into a bucket here, but that is what happened.
Asterisk.
It is what happened. Asterisk. Honestly, it's like, let's talk about that for a second. All right. I think everyone secretly or even openly is hoping that Michigan will get this kind of erased, quote unquote, just because, of the stealing signs or this, that, and the other, kind of like how Notre Dame's apparently 2012 season, all those wins were vacated, right? It's kind of the same MO. Here's the deal. Those games actually happened. You actually played those games, right? Whether or not you steal signs, this, that, and the other, or Notre Dame had players who violated academic this, that, and the other, da-da-da-da. Okay, those games actually happened, right? The Bush push actually happened, right? No one ever goes back and says, check the rule book, everybody, right? Or no one ever goes to the Michigan State game of, I think, 2011. I may have that wrong. But no one ever says, check the rule book, right? There was 0 time on the clock. Like, look, we lost the game at Michigan State. We lost the Bush push game. And Michigan won the national championship. To which my wife was in labor at the point in which Michigan was beating Washington, and we're both watching the game on my phone while we're waiting for baby to come out. And it's just like, son of a bitch, So unfortunately, baby Irish Faithful was born the day after Michigan won the national championship, which is unfortunate. However, he will not be made a Michigan fan. My point here is this. Back to the Riley Leonard thing.
What happened in the fourth?
My concern isn't so much that he went to Duke. It's the fact that he got injured. I don't care where you came from. The fact that you have an injury that you're nursing and that you have to recover from. Granted, you can overcome it. Modern medicine is beautiful, this, that, and the other, right? Do some yoga, do some stretching, take your vitamins, whatever the hell you have to do to get back to 100%. Let's not turn this into Michael Floyd as soon as he got an injury, and he was never quite the same. Let's not turn this into any other, pick your favorite player who had an injury and then they didn't quite bounce back mentally and physically. Or physically. It doesn't matter. Or. So that's my whole thing with the quarterback. Like, look, I want the best guy in there to help Notre Dame win. Whether you're Riley Leonard, whether you're Steve Angeli, whether you're CJ Carr, I don't care. I don't care.
Well, it's just the two that we're 0 for 2 so far. And it seems like they've always kind of just, which give Hartman some credit, it was not entirely his fault. We had the Forrest Gump of the North in our offensive coordinator.
Oh, the head coach of Troy, you mean?
Yes, him. Yeah. The one that would probably be the one at Troy to open the door for the Greeks and let the horse in.
That's right. Oh, is that a pretty white horse? Oh, come on right in.
Exactly. He would be that guy. But his inept at calling plays and is partially the reason. It's not all on Hartman, but I can vividly remember Louisville fans running their mouth all week and Hartman proving them right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you've played Louisville 3-4 times, and then here you come to Notre Dame and you've got them again, and you just throw the ball right to their defense. It just,
what's funny about that Louisville game last season is that's the only game where from the beginning or from the start where I'm just like, I don't think Notre Dame has a chance. Like, whoa.
After I get in here, I have to make it and eat it.
Does someone need to grab their sidearm and shoot the intruder there? Are we going to be on someone's police report here? Good Lord. All right.
Surely not.
Hopefully not. All right.
But anyway.
We might cancel the show if that's the case. Anyway. All right. Hey, talk about shooting from the hip on St. Paddy's Day. All right. People breaking into people's houses, apparently.
Sorry about that. I fat-fingered the little wand button and the friggin' alarm went off.
Dude, what the hell? Just get a fucking Doberman Pinscher and a Glock, right? That's all you need for home security.
I mean, I got one of two handled, but
Do you live in Arizona? It's like open carry season out there. You're fine.
Yep. Hey, real quick, Coach Parsegian made some good points, but I think it's a total game changer that we now have Coach Denbrock back. I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried at all about the quarterbacks, whether it be Riley Leonard, Steve Angeli, or CJ Carr, who CJ Carr, I think, is a phenom who will be ready next year and maybe this year if called upon. I think the depth chart's going to be Riley Leonard, CJ Carr, then Angeli.
Woo! Serious.
My biggest
words.
thing is, are they gonna struggle to adjust to the new offense quickly? Are they going to be able to get this and get it clicking? Which surely, compared to last year, it should be a piece of cake. But
I think you hit the nail. I think you hit the nail on the head that Riley Leonard comes from a smart school, and he's an experienced guy that I think is going to be able to handle Coach Denbrock's playbook pretty easily. In fact, Coach Freeman was talking about how Riley Leonard already had the offense pretty much a good sense of it anyways right off the bat, first practice. I mean, obviously nobody's coming after him. You know, they're playing soft coverage and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, because Denbrock's not stupid. He doesn't mind fuck people like Kelly used to.
Whoa, sounds like that was a little personal, buddy.
No, that's a fact. All right, how many examples do you want? Everett Golson?
No, thanks. We don't need to
I'm
rehash
just saying, like
horrible memories.
Do you want me to break this down for you? Like, I got a box of crayons here behind me that the toddler uses. Like, I'll write it out in crayon for you, right? No, I'm dead serious. I'm glad you brought up the Denbrock thing. I'm not trying to be insulting here, but I'm here to prove a point. Okay, here's the thing. There's a couple things that I like about Denbrock. Number one, he's been there 2 times before, and this is the 3rd time back in Notre Dame. And it's like, okay, that's a great thing because he's clearly used to all the ancillary stuff about Notre Dame, about academics or Duloc or Catholicism or, you know, even St. Paddy's Day. All right, that's fine. Okay, number one. Number two, okay, Denbrock, go back to 2014. 2014, and I know I mentioned this a lot, but to me, this is so evidentiary. I don't even know if that's a real word, but we'll just say it is. It's so evidentiary that Denbrock in 2014, after Golson was sucking it up, okay, really bad, okay, and we were really high, the prodigal son returned, hooray, and then bullshit call down at Florida State, and then just fucking just snowball dive, whatever, you know, we shit the bed at Arizona State with 20 turnovers, right? That's Kelly's fault. We lose to Louisville and Northwestern at home, right? And Louisville was not good, right? This isn't like this past year, right? And not that they were good, but, you know.
A couple of those were on Brenza.
No, there weren't. Those were on Kelly and stupidity. But
well, Kelly, but Brenza couldn't do his only job, which was to make.
You know, look, Coach, if you want to hold kickers to a higher standard, that's fine. I'm just saying.
I do. That's the most nervous I've ever been in person at a Notre Dame game was the Music City Bowl that year. Okay,
but here's the thing. I was not nervous at all about that game. Number one, probably because my barriers were down. Because my expectations were down. But Denbrock clearly was handed the keys to the car with that football team. Clearly said, okay, look, we got Malik Zaire here. We have all this other talent and all these other skill sets. Why don't we actually utilize that and throw LS fucking you, you know, a bone that they've never seen before on film. And we ran the ball over 60% of the time. They didn't know what the hell was going on, and it was a dominant play from start to finish, and it was a run-heavy game with Malik Zaire.
That was a very efficient offense. In that
it was so great. I remember watching that around Christmas time and just being like...
They ran how many minutes off the clock in the fourth quarter?
You know, I'm sure I have the statistics buried somewhere in the spreadsheet here, but it
was just ridiculous. They ate LSU's defense alive.
And LSU was kind of like down and out, which is fine, but like at the same time, it's not so much about what LSU didn't do; it's what what Notre Dame under Denbrock did do. It's what they did do with that running game after only a handful of weeks to prepare. And then Kelly goes in the next season and fucks
And
it up in
Denbrock and
2015.
Elko were at Notre Dame at the same time for a year or two, right?
Elko. I
want to say it might have been 2016 or 17.
There might be some strange crossover there in the 2017
It may have only been for like a year in 2017.
No, because in 2017, they brought in what's his face from Memphis. But no,
Chip Long.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. It was Chip Long. Chip Long was in there when Elko came in. So
they just missed each other.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it now. In January 2017, Denbrook went to Cincinnati under Luke Fickell.
Correct. So why is this important going into next season? You've got Denbrock, a guy who was a Broyles Award nominee, went down to the SEC with Kelly, comes back to Notre Dame. You know what they say about true love, right? If it comes back to you, right, then you know, right? And not that we need to get all romantic here, but the fact that Denbrock is coming back to Notre Dame after all this time, for the third time.
Whoa. Hold on, Joe. You're going to just breeze over the fact that not only is he coming back to Notre Dame, but he's coming back to Notre Dame after coaching up a Heisman Trophy winner at LSU.
No, that's what I just said. I just said a Broyles Award nominee.
But you didn't mention the Heisman Award winner that he coached. You said Broyles. Who cares about Broyles? He coached up the Heisman Award winner.
Okay.
It was a slim Heisman pool this year.
That's fine. Like I don't want to pay too much attention to the
Heisman.
They gave it to Johnny Football instead of Manti Te'o. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. My bad. You're right.
You either give it to a cheating quarterback from Michigan, or you should have given it to Washington's quarterback.
Should we jump straight
to
my Michigan statistics? I have my Michigan statistics.
No, we don't. Nobody wants to talk about Michigan on this show.
It's necessary because they're the current national champions, guys. I know
now have a brand new head coach that's going to fail.
Yeah, they're going to suck next year, which is great. But my whole point is that, look, what do we talk about? Scotch, spreadsheets, stats, and national champions. I'm sorry, we have to talk about Michigan, despite the fact that we may have to have one of those little paper, wax-lined bags that they have in airlines that you puke into, right, in the front, compartment there in your seat in the airplane, right? Well, you may need to puke in one of those when I talk about this. However, and this is more of a high-level discussion here, Michigan, and you look at what they did, how they did it, and the way that team operated, it's something that I truly believe that Notre Dame fans could A, embrace, other than the fact that it was Michigan, and B, say, yeah, if Notre Dame did that, we'd be cool with that.
Well, we could always talk about Saban having the gall to go in front of Congress and bitch about too much money in college football.
Yeah, which is really...
I was just gonna say, kind of along the same lines. I mean, we can talk about Notre Dame fans being happy with how Michigan did things, but let's be honest, they didn't exactly do it by the book. There was a little shenanigans going on with videotaping practices and things of that nature. So
well, yeah, and the Patriots, filmed other people's practices, but they still have Super Bowls. So like I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's acceptable. I actually believe it's dirty. It's wrong. It shouldn't be allowed. But at the same time, it's like I'm not in a position of authority to, strike the record book and steal their national championship awkward gold trophy away from them. Like I am not in that position. I'm just a humble person here in central Indiana running a podcast. That being said, if we go with what the powers that be have done, which is blessed, and it is a blessing that Michigan and go back to that football game against Washington, which we are all rooting for Washington. Michigan owned them in that game, right? It wasn't like the Alabama game where it was like, oh, we could blame Reese. He had bad play calling, or Michigan got by the skin of their teeth. No, you go back to that national championship game and Michigan won. Like flat out, they won the game. It wasn't a beat down. It wasn't a slaughter. It wasn't anything of that nature. But they won the game handedly. Okay, there was no doubt who that day was the better team on the field, and no amount of sign stealing or whatever with practice or how awkward and how much we hate Michigan or think Jim Harbaugh is an awkward son of a bitch. Okay, it doesn't matter. Michigan owned that game, and the way they won with running the football, sound defense, pressure on the quarterback, etc. Penix was uncomfortable, and Washington was outside of their comfort zone, which is exactly what you should do. That being said, going forward, okay, the statistics that Michigan, and I'll throw it back to you, Coach, the statistics, which we'll get to in a few minutes, statistics that Michigan has put up going forward into next season, which now has influenced this show and what we talk about, stats of champions and this, that, and the other, is something that I think is a little bit more relatable and attainable for Notre Dame fans.
Well, since when has the Pac-12 ever been world renowned for their stellar defense?
I mean, go back to Pete Carroll days. USC was halfway decent in the mid 2000s.
Halfway decent, but they were giving.
That's all
up
you
30
need to
and
win a
40
national
points.
championship.
They were giving up
Reggie
30 and
Bush.
40 points to Fresno State during those runs too. So
fair enough.
Real quick point on that. I know we're talking about. Well, are we done talking about Michigan? Can we kind of clear that now?
We will go back to it, but go for it.
Oh, wonderful. No, I was just going to say, I've been looking at our schedule, and I think a lot of fans and maybe even some of the members of the media think that this is going to be a cakewalk of a schedule, and I'll definitely say that I think it's easier than last year. However, starting off against A&M, that's going to be a tough game. I mean, College Station, maybe they're rebuilding with Elko, but still a tough team, still a tough place to play. But I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. I unfortunately have a deep disdain and hate for SC. So I follow their moves pretty closely. It's the whole keep your enemies close to thing.
I'm shocked that they have not blocked me on Twitter.
Dude, it's crazy. I seriously, same thing, especially after Caleb Williams' Crybaby Fest last year. Anyway.
I talked so much shit on Twitter about USC football that I'm like, how have you not blocked me?
Here's the thing, though, man. They have completely retooled their defense. They've got some really good coaches in there. They've actually had a sneaky good recruiting class on defense. So that's going to be a tougher game than we think, and it's the last game of the season. There'll be a lot of emotions. Hopefully, we'll be competing for a playoff spot, if not a high seed in the playoffs. So hopefully their schedule going out and all these.
You mean a home
teams,
game in South Bend because we don't have a prayer at getting a
imagine.
Because we
Can you
don't
imagine? Oh my God!
No, what I could imagine is the fact that we would have a first round bye, but apparently we can't get that. But that's a whole other discussion for Joe.
My point is keep an eye on SC. I think that's going to be a sneakier, tough game than everybody thinks, and Florida State for that matter. So not as easy of a schedule as I think people are thinking it's going to be.
I'm glad you mentioned the Florida State game because that's the one I think people. That's the sleeper. I mean, that is the team that was overlooked, and they were in the playoffs, right? Which is bullshit. You go undefeated in the regular season, you win your fucking conference in the ACC, you're undefeated, and you're a Power 5 team, and you're Florida fucking State, and you don't get into the playoffs. That's bullshit, okay? You could say this, that, and the other about Alabama and all this other crap. You're undefeated. like everything in front of you, you've won. What more can you ask Florida State to do?
I think we can honestly say that it is not the NCAA pulling the strings for college football. It's ESPN. And we all know it.
Yeah. Well, that's good for Notre Dame because we bring in the cash and,
Well, ESPN just wants to have us on just so they can possibly see us lose. That's the only reason ESPN would want to.
I'd feel better if just Fowler and Herb Street. Herb Street I don't mind so much, but Fowler is just I may vomit.
I can't stand
as
either
much.
one of them.
Oh my gosh, it's awful. But all right.
I liked Herb Street when he was actually a believer, especially in what Weiss was trying to do prior to year 3 of Weiss. But He was the only one on ESPN that actually believed in us.
Oof, year 3 of Weiss. Ooh, that was a bad year. Adam Dowling, I see you there on mute. I see Jamiko. Everyone is invited to speak. This is the St. Paddy's Day of episode of the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. We've never done a St. Paddy's Day show. We're sitting around a bar. You got your pint of Guinness or your glass of Jameson, whatever you got. We actually are having Guinness tonight. We do not have scotch. We do not have whiskey. We are going with beer. We've had plenty of other libations today, celebrating the feast of St. Patrick. So, Adam Dowling, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Happy St. Patrick's Day. How is it there in Northwest Indiana?
It is cold.
Really?
It all of a sudden got cold here. Yeah.
Oh,
We've had like the warmest winter I can remember.
Yep.
And then, of course, on St. Patrick's Day, it goes to like 35 degrees.
Really? Oh man, it was a nice day down here in Indianapolis. So I'm sorry to hear
We're
that.
actually looking at a possible freeze Tuesday night here in Northwest Alabama.
What the hell? All right. Well, all right.
Wow.
The sky is falling and it's freezing up in Northwest Indiana. Adam, are we off our rocker here with regards to Riley Leonard? Am I giving too much credit to Michigan? Where do you want to let me put it this way, Adam, do you want to talk more about the end of the 2023 season, or you want to look forward already since we're in spring practice to 2024 football?
I think I want to look forward because I truly believe, and maybe people will call me like a Freeman homer for saying this, but I truly believe these first 2 years, he really didn't have exactly what he wanted. And now he has 2 coordinators that are extremely experienced, and he has exactly what he wanted. And the roster's kind of changed in his vision a little bit. And I feel like there's no more excuses now. And it's kind of go time from here on out.
Yeah. Is this a function potentially of the magical year 3 at Notre Dame?
I hope so. But I think those Leprechauns he beat me to the punch on this. But I've been worried that our fan base is acting like this schedule is easy, and I don't think it's as easy. I think we're going to have 4 really hard games.
I think it's harder going into 2024 than it was last season. I'll be very honest. This past year, Sagarin ranking Notre Dame schedule was not as good as previous years. So I will say that. I mean, the national champion average obviously is it is what it is. I mean, we finished 8th in Sagarin, which is great, but our strength of schedule was 59. It was really bad. I haven't seen that. That's the worst I've ever, quite frankly, seen. Last year was 50th.
Clemson and Ohio State were. I know Ohio State still only lost 1 game, but that team was extremely beatable, and so was Clemson. Both of them.
Do you really want to rehash the Ohio State game?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go to a dark place about we should kick field goals and have 11 men on the field. It's just like.
But
no.
Texas A&M's going to be really tough down there. It's going to be crazy for.
I would
them.
love to go to the Texas A&M game.
And,
the doc's in literally the other room with the baby. Hey, babe. I would love to go to the Texas A&M game. I don't know if she's gonna know about that, but
Louisville's always gonna be
just
tough.
Don't fly Boeing.
Don't fly Boeing. Fly an Airbus. Yeah. Just drive your car. Chevy GM car. Yeah.
Louisville's gonna be tough. Jeff Brom's a great coach, and they're always gonna be in the portal. Florida State's got another great portal class. So they're going to be good, and then USC is going to be tough out there too. So I think that's 4 games that are going to be really tough.
I think Texas A&M is tough from the environment. They have a new coach with Elko. Now Grant he's a coach I respect. someone who was a former Notre Dame coach, and had done amazing things at Duke, quite frankly. And anyone who doesn't think what he did at Duke was amazing, or at least above the rim, I will put that, you're not paying attention to things. Like, okay, like I've never seen Duke in the same breath as as other programs. We talk about Elko being there. That being said, he's down at Texas A&M. They have a hardcore tradition. Notre Dame's going into a very hostile environment, an environment that I would absolutely love to go to, despite what people may think on Twitter about their cheerleading squad, the men, the women, whatever.
Texas A&M.
Whatever floats your boat there about Texas A&M cheerleading or cheers or team spirit, I don't care. Okay. It is a legit place for football. The 12th man, not quite as asshole-ish as say LSU would be. I'll say that, but it is a legit place for college football. And if anyone doesn't think that Kyle Field is a legit place, you got another thing coming. So the environment, I think, will be something else that Notre Dame hasn't had in a very long time. I would say since, can I say Oklahoma 2012? Like, and it doesn't have to have that same weight. Like, I'm not equating the two. I'm just saying the environment. Norman, Oklahoma 2012 versus Kyle Field 2024, right? It's 12 years later, but whatever.
I mean, we've been to Florida State a couple times. That place
yeah,
is
but
pretty wild,
we've had that experience before, right? Like, what I'm saying is, like, this is a quote new thing for Notre Dame, right? Like, we've played at Florida State before. We're kind of familiar with them. This isn't the days of Bobby Bowden, right? Whatever. And I believe Florida State's a home game for us, which is cool. But going to a team that's now quote in the SEC, I think what 2025 next year we're going to Arkansas, right? I mean, it's Arkansas. It's not the 70s with Jimmy Johnson and Lou Holtz there or something. But the point is, we're going to a legit place down in College Station, and we should be aware of that. Now, winning that game, I think, is huge for momentum for the season, just based on environment. Now, whether they have all their ducks in a row down in Texas A&M with Elko and this, that, and the other, that's another story, which we'll talk about in the fall. But right now, today, on St. Paddy's Day, it's a legit game.
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, if you really look at the schedule, if we can win that game, I don't care how we do it. If we can win it, the schedule really sets up great.
Yeah, no doubt.
But if you lose, you really have some problems. You can't lose at all the rest of the year. So it's a huge moment for Notre Dame and the whole Marcus Freeman era. It's huge, I think.
I think so, and I mean it's quote unquote year 3, right, of Marcus Freeman. So I mean we went 12-1 with Kelly in year 3.
I'm trying to tamp down my excitement because I've been fooled before, but I think the one thing that's always held us back, at least like the last, say, 5-6 years, has been our wide receivers.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've brought in some, at least that we have more depth, so we can actually, if someone gets hurt, actually feel the receiver room. But the receivers, and I know Riley Leonard how can I put it? He has a bigger upside in quarterback talent than Sam Hartman.
Sure.
But he could be not as good as well. So his upside is just his athletic ability. He's 6'4", he's 215, huge arm. And Notre Dame gave him an actual real receiving room now, to where last year we kind of went in the season like, we think our young guys are good, even though they're not proven. We actually have young guys and some proven guys this year.
I mean, like let's talk about the receivers here for a minute. And do you think that with the vacation of the guys who transferred out to go other places, coupled with the departure of a receiver coach, now we have a new receiver coach, we have new freshmen coming in, we have a transfer or two here or there, plus people who are gonna come off their lacrosse practice or whatever. Is the receiver room really that better? Because it's certainly not proven. I wouldn't say it's proven at Notre Dame. It's not like we got Golden Tate and Michael Floyd coming back. You know what I'm saying?
No, but the guys that we've got out of the portal have their numbers are proven other places.
That's
at
true.
Clemson, at Florida Atlantic. The Harrison kid from Marshall is like an All-American kick returner, and I've heard looks awesome in like the slot, like little short passes and fast. And then you have, the guys we've had like Jaden Thomas and Faison and
does it even matter though if we run the ball?
Well, yeah, you know why? Because if teams are scared, you can run by them. It's easier to run the ball.
Is this like setting up the Is this like using the run to set up the pass?
Or maybe we could use the pass to set up the run.
Talk dirty to me. Okay, Adam, let's do it. Oh yeah, that's 100% right. No, and I think now that we have a qualified let's put it another way. Like forget the receiver room for a minute. Let's just go to the offensive coordinator. Year one, Marcus Freeman. Who do we have?
We had Reese, who told Marcus.
Thomas Reese.
He told Marcus our quarterback room is just fine. We don't need a transfer, and we didn't need any receivers out of the portal. So
all right, so we had Reese year one. Year two, who do we have?
Parker.
Okay. Now who do we have? Year three.
Yeah, we have Demrock.
So now you tell me. You got to hitch your wagon to one of these three guys. Who are you going with?
Well, obviously, are we wasting time here? Obviously, Demrock.
It's a rhetorical question, right? It's clearly a setup question, but it's Denbrock, right?
Yeah.
So my point is this, right? Now that we have a qualified, experienced offensive coordinator who has some grasp of American football and who's proven, has been to Notre Dame, now his third lap, per se, and has been around the horn to other programs, is coming back. It's like, yeah, this guy knows what's fucking up. He's been there, done that. He knows what works, knows what doesn't work, and absolutely, this is the guy who can actually call plays based on personnel. Forget about doing what you, quote, want to do. Do what you can do to the best and maximize the talent on the field. That's all I really want you to do. Everything, you could always want the all-star American, whatever, wide receiver and quarterback and running back or whatever. At the end of the day, your roster is your roster, okay? No amount of recruiting or NIL or whatever with Notre Dame and Duloc, right, that you could say, oh, you don't have to worry about this. No, this is your roster at Notre Dame. Denbrock, here's the guys you have. Make it happen. He's the most qualified, most confident individual I have to say, make it happen next season.
Yeah, and you should never leave a game questioning if the offensive coordinator knows how to call an offense.
Yeah.
He has done it at Notre Dame. The last great offense we had was 15, and he called the plays then. He went to Cincinnati, called the plays for their playoff run. He called the plays at LSU, and now he's coming back to Notre Dame. So if you ever leave a game saying this OC doesn't know what he's doing, you're dead wrong. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, and we said that with Parker multiple times last season, so that's
Exactly.
troublesome.
And Marcus has Al Golden too, which the first year was a little rough.
It was.
But last year was way, and I've heard from people his system's complicated. That's why it was a little rough. He's almost more of an NFL guy, so it's a little more complicated. But last year was way better. Marcus has two guys that know what they're doing.
Okay, this is Adam. You just set me up because there's something I was toying with talking about tonight, but you just set me up, so we're going to talk about it. All right, here's the deal. Al Golden, Notre Dame. So what do I do on this show? It's Scotch spreadsheets, but we look at statistics, we look at data, we look at numbers, we look at the score of our coaches, and we grade them relative to other coaches in college football. Now, because we're Notre Dame, we like to be nostalgic and romantic or whatever, and we compare to past Notre Dame teams. Prior to last year, I think anyone could agree that the defense of 2012 under Bob Diaco, Bobby Blue Eyes with the sweet hair, was amazing. Okay, and it was, right? Clearly 12-1. We had a strength of schedule of 21. But if I look at how we scored in particular statistics, we were number 2 in scoring defense in 2012, number 11 in rushing defense, 7th in total defense, 8th in red zone scoring percentage, right? So good defensive numbers. 3rd in red zone touchdown percentage, fantastic things. However, when I take the aggregate of all these statistics over the years, and I keep it rolling every year just for the sake of doing data, because that's what gets my mojo going. Truth or a lie, and this goes to anyone. Again, everyone's invited to speak. Anyone jump on. Who was better defensive coordinator per the numbers? Bob Diaco of 2012 or Al Golden last year, 2023?
I'm just going to guess because of the question. It's Golden because of our pass defense, but I could be wrong.
Let's see. Oh, well, that's kind of funny. You actually hit the nail on the head. Pass defense is pretty good. It was 3rd in the country. Red zone touchdown percentage was also 3rd in the country last year. But yes, Adam, you're 100% right. Al Golden's defense of 2023, despite the fact that we didn't, go to a New Year's Six or anything, and we had a 7.69 win percentage and a strength of schedule of 59. But if I look at all the other statistics and I add it up like a golf score, 2023 is the best performance from a Notre Dame defense over the last, since 2010 or whatever. 7th in scoring defense, 28th in rushing defense, nothing too sexy there. But 5th in total defense. Oh, go ahead.
Well, if you remember last year, we were screaming because the red zone defense the year before was so bad.
It was terrible. No, it was so bad. It was so bad the year before. And that was the one thing. And I distinctly remember saying this going into year 2 with Al Golden. I'm like, if we don't tighten up on that red zone defense, that fucker needs to be fired. And he did tighten it up. It was great. And then you look at next year's defense, like step away from all the impressions you have about Notre Dame. Step away from all the impressions you have about last year. And you just look at who is returning. You've got Xavier Watts, Howard Cross, Jack Kaiser, Jordan Bethello. I'm sure there's a few other guys I'm missing. Point is, this defense is stacked on who's returning. You got Golden, who is just upgraded in his juicy contract. He's clearly staying at Notre Dame, right? He's not going to go take a head coaching job somewhere else where he probably could have easily done. Okay, like it is beyond me that other teams, Sun Belt, ACC, pick your favorite school, were not thinking of hiring Al Golden as their head coach. Bullshit.
Well, we all remember how Miami turned out for him.
My point is this, Coach. Al Golden's phone was definitely ringing, and he said he just let it go to voicemail. Like that's genuinely my opinion of this whole subject. I'm not there. I'm not his secretary. Whatever. I'm just saying. Al Golden said, "Nope. I would prefer to be the defensive coordinator at the University of Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman as the head coach, because I get the autonomy that I get to call the defense I want. I don't need all that pressure as the head coach. I can just coach ball and do what I need to do to put winning football, winning defense on the field." And last year, and I'll throw it back to you, to Adam. Last year, he put up the best Notre Dame defensive numbers we have seen since I have started keeping track of this since 2010. It's amazing.
And that's what I love what Freeman has going. He's got two older guys on both sides of the ball that just want to coach ball. They're not looking to be a head coach somewhere.
Nope.
They're not looking to be the head coach at Notre Dame. They just want to coach.
Yep.
They just want to call plays on both sides. And then now he can just be the man. He doesn't have to worry about what's going on the offense because he really don't trust what's going on the offense. He's got two guys that are good.
Yeah,
He's good with them.
They're locked into their position group. They're locked into their guys. They're locked into their responsibility, their area of ownership that they control, that they wish to dictate and dominate. And that is superb. That is excellent. And it's, credit to, Swarbrick or Marcus Freeman or whoever that said, these are guys that's what they want to do.
Credit Notre Dame too, the administration, everybody,
absolutely.
because they're paying these guys big time money.
Yeah,
like SEC money.
Yeah,
to be there.
Let's talk about that. Like that's legit, 100%, Adam. This is like the first time I've ever thought that Notre Dame is putting out legit money for assistant coaches. Like flip the script. Go over to Ohio State. They got Chip fucking Kelly. They made him leave a head coaching job at UCLA to take an OC job at Ohio State. Right? Like serious money and this, that, and the other only makes you do that. Or the thought that Ryan Day is a piece of shit and he'll be out in 2 years, which is kind of something I actually think is going to happen. I actually think Penn State's going to walk away with the Big Ten next year, but that's another thought for Joe. Point being here is Ohio State is one of those programs that is paying big money to the assistants. It's really, really great to see Notre Dame clearly putting out the big numbers for coaches that A, have earned the paycheck, and B, proven the fact that they deserve to be paid said much.
I've also heard that Dylan McCullough has turned down some NFL jobs and some college jobs.
There you go. There you go.
It's another one. And one more real quick thing on Golden. And the NFL draft has kind of made me notice this. And it makes you kind of appreciate his adjustments and what he did. When you watch, everyone's putting on these highlights of Caleb Williams. And most of the highlights are against bad teams. They're against terrible teams USC played.
Yeah, do it against Notre Dame or Utah.
But the only highlights you see of him against a good team was 2 years ago, Notre Dame in LA at USC.
Yep.
And if you look, every single time that we're rushing the passer in that year, it was Riley Mills was an end, and both Amendola brothers, and maybe Chris Smith, but it was all big guys rushing him. So he was getting away easy and all that stuff. And if you remember from last year's game, he totally adjusted it to where Luafau and Sneed were rushing DNs, and then Mills and Cross were in the middle. And he was bringing stuff. He was bringing faster guys to stop him. and he never got loose the whole game. So like that's just like a proven point.
He was put in a box that had no lid.
Yeah, like but we were rushing with faster guys. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm with you.
Where 2 years ago we were rushing with big guys that couldn't keep up. So that just shows like how good he is in adjusting on what didn't work his first year.
Are you talking about Al Golden?
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I mean, the turnaround, like, this is the former Heisman, like, we don't talk too much about the NFL here, but anyone who's a Notre Dame fan or a Bears fan who's paying attention to what's going on right now, okay, the Bears are basically pivoting to get Caleb Williams, quite frankly, in the draft. Okay, let's not sugarcoat this. I think it's fucking stupid, okay? And it's not so much because, I hate Caleb Williams or I hate USC. I do think Caleb Williams is a fucking douchebag, okay? That being said, though, put my personal feelings aside and let's look at the data. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at what he did. Look at who he beat, who he lost to. He didn't win a fucking game of consequence this last year. Not at all. None at all. Right? And I'm not saying Bo Nix is the best thing since sliced bread. Okay. But it's like, look, and I'm not even an NFL fan or a Bears fan. All I'm saying is like, do you really want to hitch your wagon? Do you really want to draft some guy who couldn't beat Utah 3 fucking times over? And nothing against Utah. But you can't beat Utah? Okay? Penix and, Bo Nix and some of these other quarterbacks in your own conference that doesn't exist anymore, owned you and your team. And you just sitting there crying on the sidelines like a I don't want to, point being is
like a bitch.
And Joe, I am a Bears fan and I am living this right now. So the point is, and I've been making this for 2 years, that the guy has to run around in circles and wait for people to get open.
I mean,
to play his game.
The thing with the NFL for me, and I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but it's like, look, you just need a good pocket passer, right? You just need someone who has protection, who can make reads appropriately, distribute the ball as necessary. Okay, that is not Caleb Williams out of USC. I see more of a Bo Nix vibe. That's just me, one man's opinion, and I'm not even a Bears fan. Okay, I really am not a fan of any team in the NFL just because I'm a Notre Dame guy. But like, if I was gonna pick a team, it would be San Francisco, who I was going for in the Super Bowl. But son of a bitch, the Taylor Swifts won the Super Bowl again. but
that
anyway,
stuff doesn't work in the NFL, just running around like that.
Exactly. Like there's number of guys who've won the Heisman who have been, anywhere from Cam Newton to Robert Griffin III to, pick your favorite mobile quarterback. Like the guys that tend to be successful tend to be really, really good pocket passers first, and then can also be mobile. Maybe there's a couple things here and there with the scheme and with the team that allow them to be a little more mobile. Patrick Mahomes or whatever, notwithstanding. Point being,
it doesn't work. And the perfect example is, I'll never forget it because we were in our famous North lot and pouring down rain all day before the USC game, so we couldn't really tailgate. So we're hanging under tents talking, all the Notre Dame fans, and we were like, if he can't run around, we were going to kill USC tonight.
Fuck yeah.
And we proved, and Golden did it. He rushed fast guys on the ends and did not let him run around. Yeah. And he had a terrible game. And that Notre Dame defense, like you're saying, is a good college defense. Well, in the NFL, he's going to see defenses better than that every week.
Oh, yeah. The talent level step up is tenfold going to the NFL. And you really think that Caleb Williams, Bears organization, we're talking to you, anyone who's savvy with the Bears, forward this to the GM there. Do they even have the same GM? Like my problem with the Bears is like, you guys just get your house in order. Like, who the fuck's running the place there? Like, I I'm not even a fan, and I even know that like it's just fucking chaos in the Bears, right? You know, and then
It's been my whole life.
you've got
Shit
coaches
show.
and GMs and this guy and that guy, and then it's like it just changes like every couple of years. How do you build a sustainable program?
Because the woman that the owner of the Bears is like 105 and she won't die.
What do you?
Oh, man.
It's not because she's a woman. It's because she's just old and set in her ways, you know.
Yeah, but it's all good. But hey, man, thanks for. I'm gonna get off here. See if anyone else wants to talk. But
No, it's all good, Adam.
Good talking to you guys, man. It's been
Conveniently,
a while.
you're going to get off before we start talking about Michigan stats and how that's relevant to Notre Dame. But that's fine.
Well, as much as we hate Michigan, it's kind of. I hate to say it because we know they cheated their ass off, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a model that we could maybe copy because we don't always recruit in the top,
Okay.
5 like some of these other schools where
Yes.
they, you know what I mean?
No. You're 100% right, Adam. And I don't have this as a line. Actually, I take that back.
But
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way here, real quick. Michigan, their 4-year recruiting average the last 4 years was 12.3 average. The only team worse than that was 2016 Clemson under Dabo Swinney. And we know damn well that Clemson had a way better quarterback in 2016 than Michigan had this year with McCarthy.
Yeah. We've always said Clemson was a model maybe we can use too because most of the time they don't recruit at a top 5 level either.
So the Clemson piece is interesting because you had a really stout defense, a really good quarterback, but everything else was serviceable. With Michigan, you had a serviceable quarterback, serviceable recruiting, but a solid game plan. It was solid.
And sometimes things just line up. Sometimes things just line up kind of perfect for you with where they were able to get kind of most of their team to come back to school. And Ohio State probably be the worst team they've had in a while. And Alabama be the worst team they've had in a while. It kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to like poo-poo on their championship, but those were the worst Alabama teams, Ohio State teams we've seen in a long time.
So let me put it this way. Let me turn around. All right, let's forward project what you're saying because I've thought about this last month or two. We've got Notre Dame going into year 3, right? Magical year 3, hooray! Okay, let's put that shit aside. All right, Alabama, Saban's gone. You got recruits that are decommitting left and right. Look at the transfer portal for both Ohio State and Georgia. Clemson, they're stepping on their own dick, whatever they're doing over there. Michigan, they got a new coach, whatever. Lincoln Riley, USC, I don't know. They've got to figure out a fucking defense before they can even. So I'm going to use the Mark May line here. You got to show me first, okay? You know what teams jump out as far as like stalwarts, people that are building it slowly up the mountain? It's fucking Ole Miss and Penn State and Notre Dame. The Penn State thing is kind of a throwback to the old, hardcore days. And then Ole Miss only because they've got a ton of people coming back. Their head coach does not suck. All right, he's kind of a weirdo, but he does not suck down there at Ole Miss. Okay, and then Florida State, I haven't looked at their roster at all. I can't imagine it's even close to intact of what it used to be. So let me ask you this question, Adam. This is a really forward projection. Does Notre Dame have a shot at things this year? Because the entire landscape of college football appears to be drastically changing going into 2024.
And I would say, I don't know if we have a shot
Michigan
to win
State
the
has a
championship.
new head coach. Michigan has a new head coach. USC is shit. Like you've got.
I think it's going to be like this a lot, though, because of the portal and NIL, that you're going to see there's going to be, I would say, it's going to be.
I mean, a team that scares the shit out of me is Texas.
To win it. Yeah. It's going to be, before we could always get, I felt like if we had a good team, we could get in the top 4, but we were never, ever going to be in the top, win the championship. You know what I mean? Like, the talent was going to be so, and the depth of those teams was going to be so outrageous. But now with the transfer portal and NIL, I feel like the talent is spreading out throughout the country.
We have a competent head coach that has proven to be a molder of men and a decent motivator, if he can count the number of people on the fucking field. Yes, put 11 people on the field, Marcus Freeman. You've got competent assistant head coaches, an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, who have both run the ranks in college football. These aren't guys who have been in the NFL and now they're coming down to the college ball. No, these guys have been in college multiple years prior to 2024. Okay, like, other than just having the talent piece that you're kind of alluding to, Adam, like, where are the holes? I'm not saying like Notre Dame's going to make the playoffs and do all this other crazy shit. That's not what I'm saying. They have to prove themselves week in and week out on Saturdays. All I'm saying is, if it's me reading the tea leaves and looking at what is college football about, it's all about comparing yourself to other teams out there. And I look at all the, quite frankly, turmoil, chaos, or coaching changes and all these other things. I think Notre Dame has an advantage.
If we're not in the playoff, it is an extreme disappointment.
That would be extremely disappointing. I agree, especially in a 12-team playoff.
The only thing I think the talent is there, but they're young. We need to see what our offensive line looks like, which I feel pretty confident they're going to be good.
I mean, look at the bowl game. Look at the bowl game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Fabulous.
Those guys didn't miss a beat. Our young linebackers, we're going to be really young, but they're more talented, I think, than our old ones.
They're hungry. They're ready to go kill someone.
Yeah, and then that's what I said. I wanted to almost tap the brakes on my excitement with the receivers, but I just have to see it before I believe it with the receivers.
But I mean,
the receivers are everything.
Just run the football. We don't worry about that. But
oh yeah, well, you need to scare some people.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a minute, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes here, because this is it's interesting. The Michigan statistics, I believe, quote unquote, normalize things, because I think we've been living in a world where receivers have been getting maybe a little too much attention than what is necessary in the college ball. That's one man's opinion, but it's backed up by facts, data, and statistics. It's also my preference.
A guy or two that people are scared to death of can run right by him for a bomb. That's all I need.
I'm with you. I would prefer
I need a Will Fuller.
I would love a Will Fuller, a Rahib Ishmael. Yeah, pick your favorite Notre Dame, deep threat. We haven't had that in many years, and if we have one of those kind of guys that makes an opposing defense say, "Oh shit, you better watch out for this guy," that's what we need.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know in that Clemson game, in that second half especially, they weren't even trying to play offense because they knew. And then on defense, they weren't even putting a safety deep at all. They weren't scared of our receivers, not one bit.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. All
right,
I
guess we'll see what happens. But I'm optimistic for the season. I guess I'll leave it at that, Joe.
Sounds good, Adam. Thank you for joining us on St. Patrick's Day on Sunday night. It's a rare event for us. Johnny Boxing, I see you. Jamiko, Miss Zoom Zoom, Coach Prestige, and Dos Leprechauns. Everyone's invited to speak. Everyone's can jump on. If not, we'll jump to a statistical piece here, which people may or may not want. But Coach, what's up?
Oh, I was just going to tell you, looking at the bracket ahead for March Madness, just because of you, I have Gonzaga as my sleeper.
What?
So.
I don't know, man. Like, and I'm a GU alum, man. I got the diploma on the wall, myself and the doc included. I don't know.
It's mostly just because I have not paid that close attention to college basketball this year. They're a 5 seed. I mean, that's not terrible. So
yeah,
have Gonzaga beat Purdue.
That would be awesome. I would be that asshole at work. I work with a lot of Purdue people. So.
I think I might have Purdue getting to my Elite 8, but not getting out of that.
That's funny. That's funny. No, I haven't looked at the preemptive brackets. Jeez, I don't even know.
Well, I mean,
know who's one.
Everybody's usually eliminated by the time you get to the Elite 8. So yeah. I think I went to high school with a guy that got it right in 2004. Up to the Final Four, I think he got it right. And that was the year that Alabama and UAB went on an incredible run.
Yeah.
Getting into the Elite 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, like the traditional delusional Gonzaga person, which is what we are over here. But I will say this, like I have not been proven by Gonzaga that they can run the table. Now, had they beaten St. Mary's in the WCC tournament, I may suggest otherwise. They do have talented players.
Whatever happened to that guy that had that dirty Sanchez looking mustache, that Morrison guy?
Adam Morrison?
Maybe that's him. He was a weird looking guy that had this.
He was a weird looking dude. So Adam Morrison was my year at Gonzaga. He was actually in the NBA for a few years. He ended up having an injury. I think he was drafted like third round in the NBA. Great scorer. He ended up winning a title with the Lakers of all things, but on the bench. Quote unquote, played with Kobe, whatever. He ended up obviously not having the greatest NBA career because of his injury, which is unfortunate. But I believe he is actually the color commentary person for the radio broadcast for GU in town. Now, what else he's doing with his life, I don't know the answer to that. But Adam Morrison is a legit guy. He's originally from Spokane, and so he is like John Stockton is from Spokane, right? So good players have come out of that town. It's so I personally do not know. I do know I have a basketball signed by Adam Morrison here in studio, which is dope. But I will say this. When I was a student, it was very exciting to be a Gonzaga student, and with Adam Morrison, leading the charge for the Zags. So it was a good time. It was a good time being a Zag.
So he kind of had the Christian Laettner pro career where it was just kind of like, meh.
I wouldn't quite say it was Christian Laettner blah, other than the fact that I guess Laettner technically won a gold medal and Adam Morrison did not. But I will say this, that no, I mean like
he just didn't live up to the hype.
NBA. I think with the NBA, it's really hard to be a legend just because of the nature of the game. And for Adam Morrison to be that guy, I think the odds are stacked against you. You have to be the elite of the elite, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry kind of levels of things. And you really, that's just really hard to do.
Well, how many white guys end up just dominating the league like Larry Bird did?
Well, that's my point, right? Like it, race aside, it's a function of just there's only 5 guys on the field per team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really hard, and like injuries are everything, and it's I don't know. Like, I don't even watch the NBA anymore. But the whole point is, you asked about Adam Morrison, and it was great to watch him play, and yeah, it's all good. All right, we've kind of beaten around the bush here on this, and we've kind of given some perspective of this. So Michigan, what are we talking about in this show? And we would normally have done this after the national championship game. And yes, we are in spring ball. We could talk about that, but really the only thing we're really going to take from spring ball now is the highlights and the video, or this, that, and the other, the snippets that Notre Dame sends us on Fighting Irish Media. So rather than just, take that straw and drink from it, let's look at the data of what is going on in college football. What am I talking about? Michigan won the national championship. We have, since day one on this podcast, compared Notre Dame to national champions. Why? Not to be negative, because we, Notre Dame, and the Fighting Irish Faithful Show wish for Notre Dame to be the national champion. So let's look at what the other team is doing and see where we can fill the gap. Okay. Now, what's interesting is we've had a lot of talk about quarterback, and I think that's I'd say a justified position to be. I mean, we brought in our third grad transfer guy with Riley Leonard, despite the fact that we broke his leg. So I'll say this. I am concerned about the injury piece. That doesn't mean he can't rise above it, but I am concerned that he will be potentially nursing an injury. Now, maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's no big deal. He's strong and he's got great doctors and this. Fantastic. Fine. But it may be a hindrance. I don't know. That being said, we've got Steve Angeli. Looked pretty damn good in the bowl game. If you go back to our last show we just did at post-Sun Bowl, Angeli looked pretty good. Granted, Oregon State was pretty depleted, but so are we. Point is this. J.J. McCarthy of Michigan. He officially goes down in the Fighting Irish Faithful's podcast spreadsheets as a national champion quarterback, which sucks because he's from Michigan, but it is what it is. But I compared him to the last 10 years of national champions. So here's how it rolls. Completion percentage, he was third out of the last 10 guys who won the Natty. 72% completion percentage. Yards, 7th, 2,991. Yards per completion, 8th. Touchdowns, 7th, 22 touchdowns. Attempts per touchdown ratio, 15.1 attempts for every touchdown. That's 8th on the list. Touchdown to interception ratio, 5th. It's one of his better stats. And his passer rating, also 5th. So he's kind of the middle of the road, lower end of the road in the last 10 years, right? Okay, this is not intended to be a praise for J.J. McCarthy. But what does this translate to? He's someone who could deliver the ball, be serviceable, and quite frankly, protect the ball, not turnovers, especially that touchdown to interception ratio of 5.5. What's one of the statistics that Michigan, the football team, was really good at this year? They were really good at protecting the football. Michigan was number 1 in the country. I will repeat that. Michigan, the Wolverines, Big Bad Blue, was number 1 in turnover margin in the entire country. Plus 19 for the whole season in aggregate in turnover margin. Now, it's not the most important defensive stat. There's a handful of others, such as scoring defense, rushing defense, total defense, third down defense, sacks, etc., that are more important. But right after that is turnover margin. Michigan was number 1. Believe it or not, Michigan, ever since I've kept data on this since 2009, they're the only team that's been number 1 in that statistic. Now, Florida State in 2013 was number 2 with plus 17. Michigan was number 1 plus 19. Again, it's not the most important defensive statistic, but if you protect the football, it's a really, really good deal. And Michigan did that very, very well. Now, how does this relate to Notre Dame? Notre Dame is going into a new year. Quite frankly, Gino DeGooduli, Marcus Freeman, Mike Denbrock, they've got to pick a quarterback that takes care of the football. Right? Don't Everett Golson the shit out of this. Protect the football. And J.J. McCarthy, quite frankly, did that for Michigan. They were not the best passing defense at all. Passing offense. Believe it or not, passing touchdowns, which last year was the second most important statistic, has now dropped tremendously. Passing touchdowns, now that I regurgitate all these statistics, passing touchdowns, Michigan, 42nd in the country. They had 24 passing touchdowns for this fucking season, including the playoffs. Most of their touchdowns came from running the football. Michigan was number 1 in rushing touchdowns. They had 40, I repeat that, 40 rushing touchdowns and 24 passing touchdowns. It's pretty remarkable that in the modern era, people talk about Notre Dame needs a modern defense or we need a modern offense. A modern offense. Look, Michigan said, fuck you to that. We don't need to pass the ball. We don't need Joe Burrow levels of offense. That's fine. No one's ever going to criticize you for having that amount of passing touchdowns. I'm just saying Michigan just proved to all of America and the world that you don't need that level of passing touchdowns. It goes back to rushing touchdowns. So if Michigan didn't have a good rushing game, a good offensive line, and a commitment to running the football and running at will, let's face it, when they ran the football against Alabama in the playoffs, against Washington in the national championship game, they ran at will because they had a good O-line and they had a commitment to the game plan. So it is my hope going forward that Notre Dame establishes their own identity. Everyone wants the Heisman Trophy quarterback that can launch that sucker down to Will Fuller. That's great. I have zero problems with that if we have that. However, we're the Midwest, right? This kind of rough and tumble, grind it out offense, right? Maybe harken back to the Lou Holtz days, whatever. This is what I think fans will embrace. And I have talked to a friend of mine who is a huge Notre Dame fan, and he said, I hate to admit it, but the way Michigan was running the football, it was really fun to watch. And I find it very, very difficult to disagree with that. We don't like Michigan. We don't like Harbaugh. But the program he established with the talent he had, which we've already identified as not the best, 12th in the country, really, on average. That's on average. They're recruiting. Michigan was able to dictate, dominate, move the line of scrimmage, and win a national championship. Now, all of that's in vain if you don't have a good defense, which they did. 6th best in rushing defense, number 1 in scoring defense, number 1 in total defense, number 7 in third down defense. And we already mentioned turnover margin. Questions, comments, concerns. This is not the Michigan fan show. Trust me. It is with reticence that we mention this tonight. We do not like Michigan. But if we are going to stick true to our guns of what do national champions do, the latest national champion has put something on the football field that I think is relatable to Notre Dame fans, minus the sign stealing, but relatable as far as what we see: running the football, stopping the run, hard-nosed football, battles in the trenches, winning it up front. That's what Michigan did. And anyone who saw that national championship game knew that unless Penix had blew up, there was no way that Washington was going to beat Michigan that day. It wasn't going to happen. Well, that's pretty much what I got. Other than that, I'm really excited that Xavier Watts is coming back. And
Thanks for the bedtime stories. I can now go to sleep after that Michigan nonsense.
Are you really? I would imagine that would have you in anxiety there.
No, I don't care. Honestly, I could care less about Michigan. I just hate SC. I don't have enough hate in my heart for two teams, so it's just SC. But regardless, yeah, no, you made good points, though, man. I mean, honestly, the blueprint that Michigan created last year was exactly what needs to happen, and I think we got the pieces in place to do it. Play good defense, run the damn ball, throw it when you need to, good coaching, limit mistakes. Yeah, we're all good there.
I agree. I think that's kind of in a roundabout way what I'm saying is that, and Lou Holt said it best. You know, you don't have to be the best team in the country every week. You just have to be the best team in the stadium that week.
Right.
Michigan definitely was the best team in the stadium every game they played. And that's all that really matters. You know, the rest of it takes care of itself. So,
who else is? So let's talk about our team now. You mentioned Xavier Watts. You're excited. He's coming back. I'm definitely excited. X-Man's coming back. But I think another guy that's getting lost in the shuffle a little bit with who's coming back on the defensive side of the ball is Howard Cross.
Yes.
You know, All-American.
Yes.
An absolute freak. I think he's going to be the leader of that defense next year, personally. I think Xavier Watts is more of a, quiet assassin kind of thing, right? Whereas I think Howard Cross can be that vocal leader that's going to really get the team fired up and help, make that extra stop on 3rd and short to force a punt. But yeah, defensively, man, with what we have coming back, it's going to be ferocious, and I can't wait. I think my only concern on the defense side of the football is Jack Kaiser's been around for a minute. He's smart, all that kind of stuff. But athletically, we need Drake Bowen in there. We need KVA in there. We need Jalen Sneed in the dogs. And I know that Golden is
let's jump on that. Would anyone agree or disagree that Joe Schmidt was the most athletic individual? No. But we know damn well that when Joe Schmidt was in there, he was making sure that other guys were in the right position, and that the fallacies of the Brian Van Gorder defense were masked because Joe Schmidt had a fucking clue in his brain of what was actually going to happen and was directing his teammates, who were more athletic than he was, to be in the right position. Okay. And then when he was gone, the dam fucking broke and we had the 2016 season, whatever that was. Okay. My point is this. If Jack Kaiser may or may not be the most athletic, right? The jury's still kind of out on that, which I'm kind of with you there. But if he can be a leader from an experience standpoint, from a mental toughness, acumen, what have you, of I get what coach is trying to make us do to be successful, and I can help and direct and be a leader to my teammates on the defense and say, all right, no. You need to be lined up there and key in on this, not that. Well, I'm okay with that, right? If Drake Bowen and Jalen Sneed and company are in cahoots and there's trust in your captain, there's trust in what coach is calling out, and you own your assignment and you win your individual battle.
Yeah, no, you're at the end of the day, like you said about Coach Barsegian said about the quarterback situation. I think you might have said it, Joe. Is I just want whoever is going to be out there that's going to help us win football games, and if that's Jack Kaiser, so be it. But I really would like to see some of these young. I mean, geez, KVA, 5-star linebacker, and I don't know if you've seen any of his tape from St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California.
Oh yeah.
But
I always have an eye on St. John Bosco and what's happening in D1 in California.
As you know, that's one of the toughest, if not the toughest division in all of United States football.
It is the toughest, definitely in California. I will say that.
He absolutely dominated that division, the Trinity League, and I mean, it's just I haven't been this excited about a linebacker recruit probably since Jalen Smith. That's how good I think he is. Ooh. I like Jalen Sneed a lot too, but KVA is the complete package. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's athletic. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. Very, very intelligent football player. Kid's gonna be good, man. And I everybody knows it. I'm not saying something. It's not some insider trading here. He's a beast, but I think he's gonna see the field early and often his freshman year.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I think that you've got some smart, athletic individuals coming in. I mean, we were all pumped when Teo was coming in as a freshman. I remember hearing all the jazz about him, like, wow, look at this guy we got from Hawaii. Like the getting a high level recruit from arguably one of the best high school teams in the country. Damn, that what a blessing for Notre Dame to have him be on our team.
Yep, and it's just the recruiting just keeps getting better and better. I mean, Jerome Bettis Jr. today, Deuce Knight. Hopefully, he can stay locked in. Deuce, I know there's some concern about Deuce Knight staying locked in, but every time I turn around, Deuce is tweeting at potential commits like, "Hey, you know what to do.
I was
come
gonna say,
home." All that kind of stuff.
Who's saying he's like wavering?
There was some sort of profile picture. I don't remember if it was on Instagram or X, but he had put up like an Alabama profile picture on one of the two. I can't remember which. And it was some sort of joke. I guess he lost a bet or something like that, and people lost their minds. And the funny thing was, Logan Saldate, the incoming wide receiver, jumped on an Instagram Live and called him out for it. And Deuce Knight was just kind of like, yeah, man, it was a joke. No big deal. I'm all Irish, all that. So that made me feel better hearing it from the horse's mouth. But yeah, man, the recruiting 2025 right now, we're the number one team in 2025 recruiting. So beautiful things ahead.
I think so
Joe,
too.
I got to jump off here, man. I got a really long week ahead.
No worries, man.
Thanks for putting this together. It was nice to do a little podcasting in between stuff. Quick cheap plug. Those Leprechauns will be back as always night of the spring or day of the spring game, morning of the spring game. That's kind of when we start our official next season. And yeah, we have some good guests already lined up. We're going to talk some draft. We're going to talk some Notre Dame football, Notre Dame baseball. We're going to talk about Notre Dame basketball. So trying to expand the horizons a little bit here.
Notre Dame
Baseball's been fun to cover.
lacrosse. I don't know.
Maybe a little lacrosse. I don't know the first thing about lacrosse except for it's really cool to watch. But,
It is fun to watch. It's
we've had
soccer meets hockey.
meets football even, man. It's cool. But yeah, we've had a good time covering Notre Dame baseball. The kids on that team are really good dudes, and I'm really hoping they can bounce back from getting swept at Florida State this weekend.
Brilliant.
So,
all right.
You guys have a great night. Go Irish. Thanks everybody for listening and all the support, and we'll see you guys around.
All right. Jason, Dos Leprechauns, Master of the Universe, who's not technically paying the bills here around Fighting Irish Faithful environment, but
One day.
that would be tight. Yeah, I'll wait for that check in the mail, man. No, we're Fighting Irish Faithful show was flattered and pleased to join the Dos Leprechauns Media sphere, and we are happy to be waving the banner of Dos Leprechauns. Good group of people, champions of the university and the football program. Good group of people with nothing but high hopes, aspirations, with a sprinkle of positivity in there. So, granted, as long as Notre Dame wins, the show's always positive. Yeah, but when you put 10 guys in the field, we're like, WTF? Okay. All right. Lynch Mob, Adam Dowling, Hero Parsegian, Jam, Miss Zoom Zoom, and Chris. I see y'all there. I've hit the end of my stats. You know, I didn't want to break down too much the stats of champions. Y'all will hear that. I will say this. The second most important stat was always the last couple of years passing touchdowns. Because of Michigan and whatever they did this year, has greatly skewed the stats away from that. And now it's kind of more your traditional, you'd expect kind of a grinded out kind of college football vibe. You know, Eddie Lacy, Derrick Henry is running the football, right? That's basically what it is now. So we won't get into all the detail. Y'all will hear about that in the fall when we get into next season. But anyone else has anything else to say? It's St. Paddy's Day. If not, we're going to call it good. Well, no one else jumping on. I heard from my brother. He said he's still working. That's no problem. The Red Snapper is doing his thing. It is Sunday night. People got work tomorrow, including myself. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. It's not the latest we've ever podcasted, but it is what it is. Well, if that's it, the one last thing I will say here is it is St. Patrick's Day. I'm very happy to be podcasting with y'all. I cannot lie or mislead or what have you. There's a reason why it's been 79 days since we did our last show. I had a second kid. I have 2 boys now in the house. So things are getting real here at Fighting Irish Faithful headquarters. It is my hope next year to continue to podcast with you greatly. That is still the intent. Now, whether we will do 33 shows, and yes, I'm counting this episode tonight as the 33rd show of season 4. Going to season 5, we will still have season 5. Whether or not we will do post-game shows or we'll do 2 shows a week, that is still determined because life is now asking me to do other things that, quite frankly, are more important. And sorry, all of you, but you take a back seat now to my wife and children. So that's not to say that y'all are going away. We just may be downgrading, scaling down, what have you. I still have a normal job. I'm an engineer by trade, so I get paid $0 for doing this. That's not a slight against Jason at Dos Leprechauns. It's just kind of more matter of fact about things. But in all seriousness, I would like to continue to bring the same level of energy, statistics, scotch, and spreadsheets to you. However, I still need to do my other duties, which are way more important, which is being a husband and a father. So that being said, whether we do 2 shows a week next season is to be determined. But don't be surprised if we just do 1 a week. I'll just leave it at that. Because at some point I still need to mow the lawn and do other shit around my house while still being a dad with little boys in the house. So that's that is reality, and my eldest son is still too young to put on the podcast. So that's where we're at with this show. But full disclosure, I'm never gonna bullshit you. I'm never gonna lie to you guys. I'm never gonna tell you what you quote want to hear. No one ever wants to hear that Michigan was great and number 1 and this, that, and the other statistics. No, fuck that team up north. But they won the title, and so if we're gonna be honest and truthful with ourselves, shit, that's what's going on. And I'm gonna be truthful and honest with y'all, saying that probably won't be doing 2 shows a week next season. I know I don't like to say that, but that is reality. I've looked at other areas of my life, and it's just not going to happen. So, not to end on a downer there, but that is kind of where we're at. So, but we have a lot to look forward to, Fighting Irish Faithful, going into 2024. We got great defense. We got great assistance in OC, DC, defenders. The quarterback room is super full. Like this is a, as Red Snapper would say, this is a champagne problem where you have, fantastic 5-star, recruit coming in CJ Carr. You've got Riley Leonard, fantastic transfer. You got Steve Angeli, who's been proven in the bowl game and the limited time we've seen him, other than a few interceptions here or there, for the most part is pretty decent. Point being, quarterback room seems okay and decent with proper coaching and a good game plan, can deliver success. We didn't even talk about the running back room tonight, but there's a little bit of a hole to fill, but I believe that the talent and the personnel we have in the running back room clearly and easily can next man in. O-line looked great in the spring game after a limited practice. The bowl game, not the spring game, but going into the spring game, we'll see that. I don't know if I will be personally at the spring game this year. That's still actually in the washing machine, so we'll see what happens. But we will let you know. Stay tuned to X, to Twitter. It's not really called Twitter anymore, but we still like saying Twitter. Old habits die hard. That being said, this is where we're at. So, any final thoughts, Coach Barsegian, Jason Lynch? You're on mute. Jam, Miss Zoom Zoom, Chris, anybody? Speak. We're not going to podcast until the spring game.
I will say, as far as being a dad, nothing prepares you for it. We in probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had just moved into our house that we're currently in. We'd done all the moving, everything, heavy lifting and whatnot that goes with it. And then probably 6 months later, this was November 2019, our son was almost 2. Wife finds out she's pregnant with our daughter, and she's due in a month. So, yeah, and you always hear about stories like that, but you never think it's going to happen to you. Nothing prepares you for it. So,
Due in a month?
Yes, we had like literally 30 days to 40 or 50 days to prepare.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Wow.
so yeah, surprises come when you least expect it.
Ooh.
So get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I don't mention the thing with my children as a negative. I actually I mean that as a positive. The doc and I are overwhelmed and overjoyed with Baby Irish Faithful. Baby Irish Faithful 2.0 here. We always wanted many children, and we have two. And so we're more than excited to have another bundle of joy in the house. But again, it becomes a function of prioritization and execution. I mean, shit, we talk about this on the show. If Notre Dame would prioritize and execute on these particular statistics and elements of college football, I actually think that Notre Dame would be successful. What a hypocrite I would be if I did not do that in my own fucking life with things that actually matter. Prioritize and execute, being a father, being a good dad. So that doesn't mean I don't like all of you guys, but it's like in the grand scheme of things, like, you know, I'm responsible for other people here and to, you know, take care of business where it's necessary.
Oh yeah, but we couldn't imagine life without baby Rudy. So
well, and that's the thing, like the joy that I get out of being a dad, and you know, like my eldest toddler Irish Faithful, he sees the Notre Dame Leprechaun or he sees the monogram. You know what he says to his daddy? He shouts out the top of his lungs, "Go Irish!" The joy that brings to my heart is so great that as time will go on, our relationship obviously will deepen, and that Notre Dame football will be part of that, and that's a good thing. And so, you know, how often we podcast this, that, the other is another story. But for me as a dad who's going about and doing this piece, you know, that's where it's at. So, all right, not to get all sappy here. Spring game TBD if I'm going to be there, but we have legitimately had legit conversations this week actually in the house about going to the Stanford game. That is still going on. We are still going. I still have a call in with the ticket office. We have over 30 people. I will repeat that. Over 30 people have expressed interest, desire, people, their spouses, etc., going and sitting together as a group to the Notre Dame versus Stanford game. So that is still very, very much going on. The doc and I are looking at Airbnbs or whatever about where to stay. We're going to bring our boys. Now they're not going to go to the game. I will go. Just because I don't want my boys at Notre Dame Stadium right now, but at least during the regular season. But we are very excited to meet all of you. People are friends on Twitter, people who are friends of the podcast, friends of the Dos Leprechauns group, that we would like to, quite frankly, experience a game together. We spend a lot of time on Twitter, on X, posting this, that, and the other. Damn it, let's get together. Let's have a good time. Let's watch Notre Dame beat the shit out of Stanford. Now we're not there yet. We still got the spring to finish. We still have, summer ball, this, that, and the other. But here's where we're at on St. Paddy's Day, where everybody's Irish tonight.
As long as you feed us during the tailgate and we can or at least me, can stuff my face at the stadium with all kinds of good food, I will be content.
Well, I won't have food vouchers at the stadium, but yeah, no.
Well, that's fine. As long as the nachos are phenomenal.
It's probably your traditional off-the-shelf type stuff, but the look, Coach, you want nachos, you just come to my house, right? I'll feed you nachos here. Well, that's it. If anyone has got anything else to say, that's no big deal. We'll move on. We really appreciate everyone for joining us on the Fighting Irish Faithful show, part of the Dos Leprechauns Media, here for St. Patrick's Day. It's been a good day. It's Sunday, last regular quote unquote Sunday of Lent before Palm Sunday next Sunday. Gosh, that's weird. Thank you for being part of us today, and get me out of the archives here of the recovering from having a second baby in the house before moving in. All right, enough rambling. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Go Irish, and we'll talk to you definitely around the spring game. Cheers, and go Irish.
Two-pointer, and Notre Dame is out in front, 17-16. Lost the ball. The pass is batted down. It's batted down by Carroll.
It's caught by Samaza. Inside the 20, inside the 10. He's going in. Notre Dame has scored. Dawson throws, open receiver in the end zone. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Somehow, the Irish did it.
Out of the pack, 30, 35. Goodbye, baby. At the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Bye-bye, rocket touchdown, Irish.
Tyree! Whoa! Can he get there? Tyree at the 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Notre Dame! Woo! 98 big ones. Zibikowski looking for a block. Cuts to the right to the 40. Gets a block. Gets to the 45, 50. Up to the 45, 40, 30. One man to beat. 20, 15, 10. He's down to the 5. Touchdown, Irish.